Nuclear power promised the Soviet Union a supply of cheap and limitless energy. Chernobyl was the newest of its plants, a triumph of Soviet science. But that changed. In just 1 hour and 24 minutes, a routine safety test spirals out of control. 31 people die. Hundreds are poisoned, and a toxic cloud spreads as far as Asia and the United States. Now we return to Chernobyl with the men who were involved, and with cutting-edge computer technology reveal exactly what went wrong. Chernobyl. On April 25th, 1986, Boris Stolyarchuk controls the water pumps that cool the reactor. Tonight, his every move will mean the difference between life and death.
Мне было не так много лет, конечно же, моя работа мне нравилась.
I was young then and just loved the job. I was proud of being able to manage such unique equipment, to take part in the operation of such powerful machines.
Приходится управлять, принимать участие в управлении.
Also on this fateful night, 29-year-old Yuri Karneyev will control the massive turbines that generate the electricity. Working at Chernobyl has been his dream job since graduation.
It was a very interesting job, and the salary was good.
Chernobyl. The investigators gather at the scene. They painstakingly reconstruct the events of the night. Their attention quickly focuses on the safety drill. The test was supposed to take place during the daytime, when more senior engineers would have been on duty. But it would have meant shutting down the reactor, causing major disruption to Kiev's electricity supply. Instead, the safety test is postponed until nighttime, when electricity demand on the plant is at its lowest. Which is why investigators directed their attention to the actions of the men on the night shift. The safety of the reactor depends on a delicate balancing act between these two men. Together, they must make sure that there's always enough steam to drive the turbines and that the reactor core does not overheat. Although they were junior, both were experienced. So what happened that terrible night? 1 hour and 19 minutes before the explosion, when Leonid begins to power down the reactor core, at first, it all seems to go well. The reactor's control rods regulate the amount of energy the uranium fuel produces. 11 control rods. These should have prevented the explosion. Why didn't they work? To prepare for the test, Leonid uses control rods to gradually reduce power. But power levels drop too much, too soon. 52 minutes before the blast. Leonid has to raise power levels. He does this by taking out control rods. It works. Slowly, the power output creeps back up. "21 minutes. Boris continues preparations for the drill by altering the water flow around the reactor core. The idea is that the main pumps which normally supply water will stop during the simulated power phase. So as a backup, Boris makes sure there's an alternative water supply. He plans to use 2 auxiliary pumps that will divert extra water from other parts of the power station to reactor 4. But when Boris turns on the extra pumps, he allows too much water into the reactor core too fast. After 15 minutes of pumping extra water into the system, there's not enough steam to keep the turbine running. 5 minutes. The team has to get the reactor in balance. Boris knows he must increase the flow of steam to the turbines. He takes action, pumping water into the steam drum. The steam drum is a central chamber where both water and steam levels can be kept in check. As the volume of water increases in the drum, the steam pressure rises back to normal. But Boris allows too much cold water into the steam drum. The result? Excess water enters the reactor core, and once again, too little steam is being produced. And they haven't even started the test yet. The investigators know the men in the control room are now in serious trouble. They have just 4 minutes left. The only thing Leonid can do to increase the steam going to the turbines is to reduce the number of the control rods in the core. The operating guidelines set the minimum at 26 control rods. Leonid feels he has no choice but to go full throttle. He removes all the rods but 6. Amazingly, at this critical stage, the night shift continues with the test. With so few control rods, the only thing that can stop the reactor from overheating is the water around its core. The smallest drop in water level could prove critical. And as fate would have it, when they least need it, the communication between Leonid and Boris breaks down. Less than 3 minutes before the explosion, Boris finally realizes that too much water has flowed into the steam drum. Immediately he cuts the flow of water, which also affects water flowing into the overheated reactor core. Boris makes no allowance for the fact that Leonid has removed all but 6 of the control rods.
Я, конечно же, не знал.
I didn't know anything about it, and I can't say whether there were fewer rods than required.
1.5 minutes before the explosion. Without enough control rods to help keep the temperature in check, the reactor core is seriously overheating. Unbeknown to the night shift, they've lost control of the power plant. Under the extreme temperatures, Chernobyl's reactor number 4 is about to crumble. 56 seconds before the blast. The turbine operator gets the order to proceed with the safety test. He shuts down the turbines. Suddenly, the dials show the energy levels in the reactor are soaring dangerously high. Now, there is no time. A safety test at Chernobyl has turned disastrously wrong. The nuclear reactor is going to blow in just 13 seconds. The men in the control room are helpless to do anything more. The fuel rods rupture because of the extreme heat. The blast generates a huge force of pressure against the reactor's 2,000-ton lid. 8 tons of highly radioactive debris explode into the sky.
I couldn't even imagine such a thing could happen. It took everyone by surprise.
Nothing like this has ever happened before.